I know that you were the first, one of the first ones at Clive's party to speak about Whitney's passing the other day.
Yes.
And that was, did you know her well?
Yes, I did. I actually, when I was growing up in the music industry before I had success, I somehow got on her wedding invitation.
Why does Diddy's name keep popping up in theories connected to shocking celebrity deaths and strange Hollywood scandals? Now people are noticing that if you really watch how he spoke about Whitney Houston, it's almost like he knew more than he let on. And allegedly, it all ties back to one person. And let's face it, you already know who.
Diddy and Davis, have they ever had anything past business? Because to me, they seem to mirror each other behavior-wise. Like to me, they both got like that dark energy around them. But I almost wonder, like, well, damn, did they ever have anything? Well, I just wondered that. Man. Because they're very...
And it's Grammy time.
That happened.
And her and had a fight 2 days before. And from what I was told, Bobby Christina was present for some of that fight. And then the next thing you know, she's dead.
The thing is, Whitney died on the eve of Clive Davis's iconic pre-Grammy party. A party that, disturbingly, carried on downstairs, even as her lifeless body remained in a bathtub just one floor above. Now, ask yourself this. Why did Clive keep the party going, fully aware that Whitney Houston had just died in his hotel suite? Why would Clive Davis, the very man who discovered her, appear so untouched? Now let's talk about Diddy. Is it possible he knows things the public has never been told, or worse? Could he be entangled in hidden networks operating far beyond public view? There are those who believe in a deep-rooted underground system in the entertainment industry, one that protects certain powerful figures and silences others. And if any of that is true, then the question becomes, what part does Diddy really play in all of this? But it gets even darker. Bobby Brown has openly stated that he suspects foul play in not just Whitney's death, but in the death of their daughter as well. He's even claimed multiple times that Chrissy's ex, Nick Gordon, may have played a role, not only in her tragic end, but in Whitney's too.
The world to know that Bobby Christina did not die from the bathtub incident. That's not what killed Bobby Christina.
What killed Bobby Christina?
Bobby Christina was starved to death.
You approach that?
He knows what happened. I don't know what happened that night, but he does.
Walk through that door and you see her much like you saw Whitney.
It was literally, it was a nightmare.
But if the word on the street is to be believed, Bobby Brown thinks this whole situation runs much deeper than just Nick Gordon. And now that Whitney's name is being brought up in sworn court testimony, it's obvious. He has more to say. Y'all, it's wild, and we're about to unpack all of it. Let's start here. Whitney's name was in fact mentioned during the trial. Diddy's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, testified under oath and casually name-dropped both Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey during her statement. According to Capricorn, she believed Cassie had talent, but clarified that she wasn't a full-fledged performer. When Diddy's lawyer asked, "Why do you say she had talent, but not a lot of it?" Capricorn responded, talent to me is Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. Very talented is that level of performer, entertainer. Cassie was more of a studio artist, more comfortable in the vocal booth, where you can tweak things, equalize, engineer. She wasn't much of a live performer. But that wasn't the only time Whitney came up. She was mentioned again, this time during Cassie's own cross-examination. Diddy's lawyer questioned her about the night he allegedly overdosed on opioids back in February 2012, around the same time Whitney died. Cassie answered, "I believe so. That evening, we had a freak-off. We went to a club in San Bernardino, then to a party at the Playboy Mansion. I went home. From what he told me, he took a really strong opioid that night, but we didn't know what happened, so we took him to the hospital." Now, why Whitney's name would resurface in that specific context is anyone's guess, but a lot of people are saying it's not just coincidence. In fact, regardless of how casual the reference may seem, Whitney's name popping up during Diddy's legal firestorm has reignited all the old conspiracy theories, and people are digging hard, because allegedly there might actually be something there. Here's what we know. Whitney was discovered unresponsive and submerged in the bathtub of her Beverly Hilton hotel suite in Beverly Hills. The official cause of death? Accidental drowning. Toxicology results found small amounts of cocaine, marijuana, Xanax, and other substances. Some medical experts speculated she suffered a heart attack due to long-term artery damage, lost consciousness, and drowned. But here's the twist. The coroner found no definitive signs of a heart attack. All they found was mild heart disease and some arterial blockage. Nothing out of the ordinary for a lifelong smoker. So that theory doesn't hold water. As for the cocaine, yes, it was present, but not in a fatal dose. So once again, we're left with unanswered questions. And the biggest one is, what actually caused Whitney to pass out in a tub filled with near-scalding water and become so incapacitated she couldn't get out? And now, here's the unsettling part. There wasn't enough water in her lungs to definitively prove she drowned, which has led many to suspect that someone might have placed her in the bathtub after she was already unconscious, or worse. All of this points toward a darker possibility. That Whitney Houston's death may not have been accidental at all, but if it was planned, who would want that? And why are people pointing fingers at Diddy? When it comes to Diddy and Whitney being close, there's almost no real history. There are whispers that Whitney and Diddy never had a professional or personal relationship, not even in passing. Insiders even claim that Whitney didn't particularly like Diddy, that she was wary of his growing influence in the music world. Whitney was famously critical of what she reportedly called Hollywood games. She deliberately avoided the dark undercurrents of the industry. And in her eyes, Diddy represented exactly the kind of machine she despised. And yet, following her death, Diddy has been vocal about her, paying tributes and speaking as if they shared a bond. In one particular interview, he sits with Ellen, reminiscing about Whitney, as though there was some profound connection between them.
I know that you were the first, one of the first ones at Clive's party to speak about Whitney's passing the other day.
Yes.
And that was, did you know her well?
Yes, I did. I actually, when I was growing up in the music industry before I had success, I somehow got on her wedding invitation. So I was at her wedding, but I didn't really know her. But it was like the hottest thing in town for the music industry. But I didn't crash the party somehow. You know, I was a hustler. I got my name on there, me plus one. I went there and I was just like, oh my God, I'm at Whitney Houston's wedding. You know, I was a big Bobby Brown fan. And then throughout the years, I got to meet her. And she was so full of life, so full of just joy. And she always made you feel like she noticed you and recognized you and spoke to you. And she'll definitely, truly be missed.
Was Diddy trying to align himself with Whitney after her death? For optics? Why would someone she reportedly distrusted be so quick to publicly claim kinship once she was no longer here to speak for herself? Well, allegedly, the connection between Diddy and Whitney ties back to one very specific individual, a man many in the industry quietly refer to as Diddy's master. Yep, we're talking about Clive Davis. Clive is a man of unimaginable power in the music world. He's known for building stars, and just as easily allegedly discarding them when they've outlived their usefulness. So, was Whitney becoming a threat? Was she on the verge of exposing something? And did Clive, with the help of his powerful circle, including Diddy, make a chilling decision that night? To a lot of people, this isn't far-fetched, especially when you consider the alleged relationship between Diddy and Clive. See, for years there have been ongoing whispers that Clive Davis took advantage of some of the young male artists he mentored and elevated. And as many of you already know, there's been no shortage of rumors about what may have occurred between Diddy and Clive behind closed doors. Let's not forget, Clive Davis is openly bisexual. In his memoir, The Soundtrack of My Life, Clive, who had been married and divorced twice, openly revealed that he had 2 long-term monogamous relationships with men over a 20-year period. He even detailed his first intimate experience with a man, saying it happened during the wild Anything Goes nights at Studio 54 in the late 1970s. That's not gossip. That's straight from Clive himself. Now, as for how he met Diddy, Clive laid it all out during an episode of Rock and Roll High School with Pete Ganbarg. He explained that when he first encountered Diddy, the young mogul told him point blank, "Hip-hop belongs in the top 40. The entire business was about to shift. At the time, Clive didn't fully grasp the movement, but he was intrigued enough to listen. Puffy was 23 years old. I had Aretha, Dion, Whitney. That was one style. LaFace had brought in gritty R&B, but we both sensed a revolution. He said Diddy played Craig Mack's Flava in your ear, then followed it up with multiple cuts from the notorious B.I.G. Clive's response. Okay, you've proven your point. From there, Clive welcomed Diddy into what they called weekly singles, meetings. He even pulled him into rooms with high-ranking execs. He groomed him, positioned him as the guy who could bridge the gap between the boardroom and the streets. But according to what's circulating online, that mentorship came at a steep price. The speculation has long been that Clive funded Diddy's rise. He gave him seed money to launch Bad Boy Entertainment and quietly backed him for years. And allegedly, that financial support wasn't just professional, it was personal. The whispers say Diddy had to hook up with Clive as part of an unspoken agreement. But even that may not have been the biggest cost. There's a darker theory, one gaining momentum online, that Diddy's true debt to Clive was to become his fixer, his enforcer, the one who made problems disappear, handled the messes, silenced the noise, cleaned up threats before they surfaced. And allegedly, this didn't just apply to PR crises or business scandals. It applied to people who had become liabilities. And yes, that includes Whitney Houston. Now, if you look close enough, Bobby Brown has been dropping breadcrumbs for years, in interviews, in his books, in moments where emotion took over. It's like he's been screaming through the silence, trying to tell us without saying too much that he knows exactly what happened to Whitney. Of course, people love to label Bobby crazy for what he said, but what if he's been telling the truth all along? Chile, I'm still trying to wrap my head around all these allegations. But let's be real, a lot of things just don't add up. So now I have to ask you, do you think Bobby Brown was right the whole time? Do you see the pattern? This strange, murky connection between Diddy, his so-called master, and Whitney Houston's untimely, haunting death? Honestly, I can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. So, go ahead, sound off in the comments below.